Hi, welcome to the Wellness channel on Vlogitorial. My name is Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I'm going to talk about independence from asthma. I'm hoping that my cure for my asthma can help you get rid of that horrific breathing problem. It's a disease that affects 25 million Americans. It kills 9 people a day, and it's listed under the third leading cause of death by the CDC of upper respiratory ailments. So asthma is serious, it's awful, it's miserable, and I was plagued by it since childhood. Around age 10, I had my first asthma attack. I remember I sneezed and the air went out and I couldn't make it go back in. It was like there was a giant fist squeezing my lungs, my chest. It was so scary. And asthma is a disease that is triggered by some substance that your body thinks is dangerous, and so responds by constricting the bronchial tubes and creating mucus, which just clogs up your lungs and makes it difficult or impossible to breathe. It can be cigarette smoke, it can be cold air, it can be cats, it can be a variety of triggers that cause asthma attacks and wheezing. And when I was 10, I just took the medications that my doctor gave me. Nobody knew what was causing it. So I just suffered with that. And then after I had an suffer with it, meaning I would have asthma attacks and I would wheeze a lot, and when I got a cold it would go straight to my chest, so I would get bronchitis and I would need antibiotics. Then as I got older, the colds would turn into pneumonia, which became an annual winter event, getting pneumonia, which requires the antibiotics, the inhalers, the steroids, and of course feeling horrible. So then in 1998, when I had an emergency C-section, I got double pneumonia. And I was in the hospital for 5 days. It was terrible. My fever was 104. It was so hard to breathe. It was awful. And then when I got out and began to recover, which took months for my lungs to feel back to normal, months, I was also losing weight because I had had a baby, and I had cut out all starches. I cut out bread, I cut out pasta, I cut out anything that was a starch food so I could lose weight faster. And so in the course of that, I realized, hey, I can breathe better, and that was so exciting. I was still seeing a pulmonologist as a follow-up from the pneumonia, and I said, do you think there could be a connection between my ability to breathe and removing wheat from my diet? So this was 16 years ago, before anybody talked about gluten and gluten-free, and now it's almost trendy and cool. Nobody talked about gluten or knew what it was back then. But I started to do some research. So when I asked my doctor about it, he said, yes, there could be a connection, but I want you to take this inhaler every day so that we can prevent you from having wheezing and asthma attacks and, of course, pneumonia again. I didn't want to take drugs every single day. I did not want to take a medication as a preventative when I thought I had discovered the culprit. So I proceeded to follow my natural regimen that was seeming to cure me of asthma. A few years later, I decided to test it, not by choice, but just sort of out of necessity. I was at a conference at Columbia University, my alma mater. I was speaking on a panel. It was a very busy, full day, and lunch was catered. And it was these wonderful looking roll-up sandwiches, like really moist looking wheat roll-ups with like turkey and cheese, and oh, it looked so good. And there was no time to go anywhere else for lunch, and I was really hungry, so I said, okay, I'm going to just test this out right now. And I ate one. Guess what? I got sick immediately. sneezing, wheezing, cold, chest bronchial constriction. So that proved it. And guess what? I've been gluten-free ever since. I've been gluten-free for about 16 years. And I feel amazing. I don't use inhalers. I don't get sick. I don't wheeze. I can go running. I can go out in cold air. I do not wheeze. It's amazing. And pneumonia, that was the last time I ever had pneumonia. That time 16 years ago. So there's absolutely no question that gluten is the trigger for asthma. And so here's my advice. If you or somebody you know is suffering from asthma, I highly recommend try going gluten-free for a few months and see if that resolves it for you. So here's the challenge. Gluten is everywhere. Gluten is in our bread, it's pizza, cookies, baked goods, birthdays, pasta, it's everywhere. And of course there's gluten-free products now, so that will really help you out in trying to get this substance out of your diet. But a lot of people tell me they don't have the discipline. They don't have the discipline to stop eating bread. Oh, I love bread. Oh, I love cookies. Oh, my birthday's coming up. I gotta have cake. Well, it's up to you to make the decision. What's more important? A few minutes of something that tastes good or being able to breathe well all the time? It's so not a question for me at all. And sometimes people's reaction is like, oh, that's so horrible. You can't eat pizza. You can't eat cookies. And then other people are almost mad that I don't replace with the gluten-free products. But the bottom line is, having lost all that weight on my course of discovering the gluten allergy, I consider it a blessing, not a curse, because I'm spared the option of eating all those calories in cookies and cake and pie and all that stuff. So I'm really better off without it. In terms of carbs, fruit, rice, oatmeal, there's so many other wonderful options, quinoa. I don't find anything lacking in my diet or my energy level. So, highly recommend that if you have asthma, you can cure it, get rid of it forever by going gluten-free.